And we're back. James, take us to the NFC North.
All right, guys, let's talk football. Today we're going to tackle NFC North. See what I did there? Tackle. So the NFC North has 2 playoff caliber teams. So they theoretically should be a very competitive division. But let's dive into that. We're going to start with the Detroit Lions. Last year they were 3-12-1. Pretty terrible. Didn't do much. Doo-doo, exactly.
They're definitely not one of the two.
Definitely not. Their biggest weakness was a cornerback and an edge rusher. So what do? They traded away their best cornerback to the Eagles. Does that make sense? Absolutely not. Additionally to that, they traded away, or they lost a bunch of their own linemen and a bunch of their starting defensive guys. So they went to the draft and picked up Jeff Okudah from Ohio State, one of the best cornerbacks in the draft. And they also picked up DeAndre Swift, a running back from Georgia. They did make a lot of changes to their defense. Like notable ones are Desmond Trufant from the Falcons, Jamie Collins, a linebacker from the Pats, and for the O-line, they signed, I'm going to mess this up, Halapulvati Vaitai from the Eagles. Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Big fan. I predict that they're going to go 8-8 this season, so a lot better.
Wow.
You guys have to remember that Matt Stafford was injured for the majority of that season, and they retooled their entire defense. There's like 3 starters that are exactly the same. They got Jeff Okudah in lockdown corner. They got Desmond Trufant from the Falcons, also lockdown corner. Their safety position got a lot better. The linebacking position got a lot better. They still have one of the best defensive lines in football, and their O-line has always been top half.
Solid.
In addition to that, you still have 3 amazing wide receivers in Marvin Jones Jr., Kenny Golladay, and Danny Amendola out of the slot. So we'll see about that. Chayton, what do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, it seems like their defense was retooled, like you mentioned, and I think I see here that Nick Shook from an NFL writer using his next gen stats has ranked the O-line 9th in the league. That definitely helps. If you're in the top tier, or at least in the top half, you're trending in the right direction.
Anybody else got any predictions for this?
Yeah, I had him going.
How you go, my bad?
Yeah, no good. Yeah, sorry, I have him going 7-9. I think Matt Stafford is always one of those quarterbacks who kind of gets overlooked. He throws a lot. I like the Swift pickup in the draft. I think he'll be low key. Him and Johnson will be a nice little tandem back there in the backfield for the Lions. So yeah, I got him going 7-9. I don't know. I think those 2 teams at the top of that division are going to go. It'd just be a little too tough. I don't know if 8-8. I don't know if they can get there.
Eric?
Didn't they have some record last year? They had like the most games where they were leading to start the 4th quarter that they blew away.
Yeah, I probably would bet that. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think that trend is going to continue. They're not going to be good. They're going to be 7-9, like Alex is saying. But I did have Jones Jr. for fantasy last year. He was like my only receiver that did shit for me. And then I did pick up Amendola just because I was scrapping for guys on the waiver wires. But yeah, fantasy wise, those 2 guys didn't do much for me. Jones Jr. did, but Amendola was trash.
Fantasy wise, like you brought up, Matt Stafford, he's being drafted at 127. It's QB number 13. In his 8 starts, the Lions offense scored 21 touchdowns. So that's really, really good. And he pretty much finished all of his starts as a top 10 fantasy QB. Right now, he's being drafted before Cam Newton and Daniel Jones. Eric, in your top 10, you have both Cam Newton and Daniel Jones, but not Matthew Stafford. Can you make an argument for why?
I had fucking Stafford the first year I ever did fantasy football. He fucking trashed my team away. I think he threw 5 picks his first game. And I started him over, I believe, Cam Newton that year. Cam Newton was my backup, and Cam Newton went off. He had like 48 points. So that's my reasoning right there. Just a 1 game, hold a grudge for the rest of my life type of thing.
Very anecdotal, just like Eric. Alex, DeAndre Swift, and Kerryon Johnson are being drafted about 30 positions apart. DeAndre Swift's at 70, and Kerryon Johnson's at 103. I don't know who the lead back in Detroit is going to be. Kerryon Johnson's had that load for last year, but he got injured. But do you think DeAndre Swift's going to be the guy?
I don't I think there's going to be a really 50-50 split between the two of them. I think they want to give Johnson the shot, but they can't trust he's going to be healthy. As a fantasy owner, I'm probably going to shy away from drafting either one of them and just hope one of them, falls to the waiver wire and kind of see what they're doing after a couple of weeks. It might be, you just have to pick one and hope that they're the one that, runs one into the end zone. It'll probably be Johnson to start just because he's been in the league. So I would maybe draft him, one of my later picks as like kind of a backup running back. But I'm not super hyped on either one of them.
Moving on to wide receivers, you have Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones Jr. As Eric mentioned, Marvin Jones Jr. had a hell of a year last year. This year, though, he's going at 96, while Kenny Golladay is going at 28. Looking at the stats all the way through, they pretty much have the same target share. But Kenny Golladay is being drafted a hell of a lot sooner than Marvin Jones. Eric, why do you think that?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. My bad, dude. I just saw this highlight of Koskinen just taking a straight puck to the head, dude. So, yeah,
really good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to the Bears now. Eric, pay attention. I'm going to ask all the questions.
Wait, we're just going to glance over the fact that Kenny Golladay had 11 touchdowns. Didn't he lead the NFL?
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Fact check.
There you go. That's there it is, folks.
Fact checkers.
Big fat guy over there. Chicago Bears. Last year they were 8-8. They're coached by Matt Nagy in his second year of coaching. They're horrendous on offense. They're ranked number 29 to 32. Their defense is the only thing that kept them afloat. They did lose a ton of guys from that defense, though. They lost Prince Amukamara, HaHa Clinton-Dix, and Leonard Floyd. So they went to the draft, and they drafted a tight end. Why would they draft a tight end in the second round? I don't know. They also got Jalen Johnson, a quarterback, in the back end of that second round. Going to free agency, they got Jimmy Graham, super old, doesn't really do much nowadays. I don't know why you'd give him $16 million, but they did. They also got Robert Quinn from the Cowboys, which is a big signing, and they traded for Nick Foles. My prediction for this upcoming season is they go 5-11. They took a huge step back just because they got worse overall. Nick Foles needs to perform admirably. He's going to take that starting job. Trubisky's going to be out of the job. There's no way he plays another season in the NFL. They do have a subpar offensive line, and the real weapon is Allen Robinson, the wide receiver. He had 7 touchdowns with 1,147 yards last year.
Dropped him on fantasy.
Yep, that's your fault. The thing is, when defenses start to figure out that's the only thing that's going for them, they're going to shut him down. And once he gets shut down, so does the offense. Traden, what do you think the record is going to be next season?
I mean, I think you nailed it. 5-11, I think is almost generous. When I see that their offensive line is ranked 25th, or their offense is ranked 25th, and their average time to pressure was 2.37 seconds. That's like terrible. I mean, how does that help a quarterback throw a football?
It doesn't. Tyler, what do you think their record is going to be?
Yeah, I'm seeing it in that 4 to 6 range. Like you said, they've just taken a step back. This team just really doesn't seem to be going in the right direction right now. Just no depth. Like I said, lost a ton of weapons on defense. Like, I don't really see it being a really good season for the Bears. The Bears are fishing out at the bottom.
And their starting quarterback has not even played like a full season, a full 16 games in his career. So
about Foles?
Yeah.
Maybe this year will be the year. Who knows?
We'll see.
Going into fantasy, Mitch Trubisky is what people think is going to be a starter in day one. He's currently going undrafted, to nobody's surprise. But the funny thing is Colin Kaepernick, who doesn't have a team right now, and Eli Manning, who's retired, is being drafted 9 spots ahead of him. People disrespect him that much. Looking at the running backs here, you have a 2-headed monster in David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen. David Montgomery is going at 80, while Tariq Cohen's going at 91. They pretty much had the same amount of fantasy points last season. But if you were to pick one, which one would you pick? Trade.
I kind of have to go with Tariq Cohen. He's more of a receiving running back, and with no offensive line to really help you, at least you have enough time to get the ball up quick. So I think Tariq Cohen, if I had to pick someone, he'd be my guy. But Montgomery did have more touchdowns, but I guess you said fantasy points were pretty equal. So
yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Tariq Cohen's one of the elusive backs in the league. His receiving work is going to give him that boost in terms of fantasy, in my opinion. Alex, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I don't really want either of them. If I had to, I would pick Cohen.
2 running backs in a row, huh?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm not interested in any offensive player on the Chicago Bears. That's what it's come down to. I'm not drafting a Chicago Bear unless it's the defense. Nick Foles can't play unless he's in Philly. Trubisky's a joke. You got to feel bad if you're the Bears because you could have had Patrick Mahomes.
Or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, or Deshaun Watson. Allen Robinson's the only guy I would consider, but I don't trust either one of those quarterbacks to be efficient enough to make him like maybe a flex, just because I don't have enough faith in them.
Allen Robinson's going at 36 right now as wide receiver 13. In my opinion, that's way too high. Like you said,
Yeah, it sounds
he's
like
being drafted before OBJ and Courtland Sutton. He's not going to be as productive. Teams are going to shut him down. That's my take on it, and I think that's going to be true all the way around. And defense right now is the 7th ranked fantasy defense. They're going at 134. I still don't know if I'd draft a defense. I think I'm just going to let it sit until the draft is over and pick it up after the fact. But if I was going to pick a defense, I think the Bears will definitely be up there just because Khalil Mack is still going to get those sacks. Moving on to the Vikings. Last year they were 10-6 and they lost to the 49ers in the divisional playoffs, 10-27. Overall, like statistically, they're pretty good. They're top 10 in offense and top 5 in defense. Their biggest weakness, in my opinion, was a cornerback play and offensive line. Cornerback-wise, like Xavier Rhodes, their best cornerback, allowed 84% of passes to be completed when targeted. That's definitely their weakest point. And Xavier Rhodes is actually gone now. They lost Xavier Rhodes. They lost a lot of guys in their defense. Everson Griffin's gone. Linval Joseph's gone. Trey Wayne's the other cornerback is with the Bengals. And Stephon Diggs is with the Bills. They drafted Justin Jefferson, who's a decent wide receiver in the first round. He's good, but he's not going to play Stephon Diggs. He's a slot corner wide receiver, same position as Adam Thielen. They need to go. They also have Jeff Gladney. They signed Michael Pierce from the Ravens. That was their big free agent signing, but he literally just opted out today because he has upper respiratory issues. So they essentially added nobody. My prediction is they go 9-7. They take a little step back, but because they lost a lot of stars during this offseason, and the Cook holdout is a big thing that's looming over their heads. Will he play? That's going to be huge. Tyler, what do you think the Vikings are going to do next year?
Yeah, I think they're still going to be competitive. I think the offense still has some good firepower, but I just think that they're going to be second tier in this division. I think they'll battle for a wild card spot. I see them finishing around 9 or 10 wins in the season. It's not going to. They've been one of the best teams in the NFC the last few years. I think they'll still be there with the experience that they have, but it's going to be more of a struggle this season for them.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I had him at 9-7. Kirk Cousins, you got to trust him a little bit more than you would think. Like he's not flashy. He's not going to, explode off the page fantasy wise, but he's always going to get you, your 15 to 20 points. If Cook holds out, I don't know, they're screwed. He was probably their best offensive player last year. I'm a big Adam Thielen guy. I'll probably be trying to target him in fantasy drafts. I go 9-7. I still think that green team up there in Wisconsin is probably gonna be a little bit better.
So you're telling me that they got rid of all their defense and that you trust Kirk Cousins after 2 years of him blowing it? Do you think he's going to do good this year?
Dude, Kirk Cousins is solid.
Trubisky.
Kirk Cousins has a career.
I think him and Trubisky will probably be about the same this year.
Wow,
dude, that's a hot take. I mean, Kirk Cousins has had a 96.8 passing rating in his career.
He doesn't have Dalvin, like Alex is saying. He's gonna be shit.
Oh, and by the way, he only he's a 2.18 touchdowns per interception. I mean, that's better than that's double Trubisky and Foles. So no. Sorry, buddy. I don't think you're wrong on that one.
Only the future will tell. Only the future will tell.
You're right.
Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback as a whole, but fantasy-wise, not so much. He's going 167 QB 23 right now. He's projected for about 230 points. Last year he finished as QB 15. If Dalvin Cook does hold out, he's gonna have to pass more. And he's, as Trey mentioned, he's really good at not making mistakes. So if he passes more, Thielen's gonna get that work. If Thielen right now is going 30, I think they're going low on him. I think Alex is right. I think he's gonna shoot up the boards, especially if Cook holds out. Dalvin Cook right now is going as halfback or running back 5, ADP number 6. I think you can make a case for a top 3 running back. I mean, CMC, Saquon, and Ezekiel Elliott. But if he stays healthy, the offense runs through Dalvin Cook. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Moving on to not Chicago Bears, but the Green Bay Packers. Last year they went 13-3, and they lost the conference championship to the Niners once again because the Niners are a better team, 20-37 overall. Their biggest weakness going into the offseason was they needed another wide receiver to complement Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in the league, but he can't do it all. They lost Blake Martinez, their linebacker, Brian Bulaga, their tackle. So they went in and they made some weird draft picks in the draft. They picked Jordan Love up, a quarterback. Like, why do you need a quarterback when Aaron Rodgers still has 4 more years on his deal? That doesn't make sense to me. And they also picked up A.J. Dillon, a running back. And again, like Aaron Jones, the hell of running back. Why did they get him the running back in the draft? Why do you guys think so?
Yeah, I have the Packers. I have them going 12-4. They drafted Rodgers and he sat on the bench for 4 years after Brett Favre was still playing. So, you never know. He is 36, but we have seen, Brady and Manning and Breeze Phillip Rivers play well into their late 30s, early 40s. So there's no reason to assume Aaron Rodgers is going to go off the hill. I think usually the Packers have the best offense in this division, especially with Jones is going to play, Devontae Adams. I don't think they'll really get much struggle from those other 3 teams. I think they should win this division pretty easily.
Yeah.
I agree. I had them go 10-6. Tyler, where'd you go?
Yeah, I got them at 11-5.
Wow. Traden?
I see 12-4.
And Eric?
I see 11-5, and I see they win a division. I got to go with my boy Aaron Rodgers, hometown Chico. So Alex and Tyler, you got to have some love from there.
Yeah, gotta love Aaron.
Yeah, and he was the first sports team that I saw win a championship in Chico that wasn't from NorCal. So it was perfect. So that's the icing on the cake for me. Aaron Rodgers, Packers win the division.
Aaron Rodgers in fantasy is going at 108, QB number 12. Eric is the only person that had him in his top 10. Eric, would you draft him as a top 10 QB, even though he's going as quarterback number 12 right now?
Yeah, that's 2 off. That's not a lot.
Okay. And then Aaron Jones, he won me a lot of games last year. I don't know how you guys let me have CMC, Aaron Jones, and Dalvin Cook in fantasy. Huge mistake. And you guys.
No wonder you won.
Yeah. He's going as a running back 7, ADP 14. I think he's going to have some major regression this year. He had a lot of points, but he had 19 total touchdowns last year. There's no way he can replicate that, especially now with A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon's like a Derrick Henry. He's going to bullshit that goal line work and he's going to take some of that touchdowns. So I think Aaron Jones is going a little too high. I can see him going at 20, 22, that area, but not 14. And then lastly, Devontae Adams is going at 10 as wide receiver 3, and I think that fits him perfectly. He's an elite wide receiver. He does have some durability issues, but with Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback, and Devontae Adams, he's gonna be up there. And that pretty much concludes my segment. Thanks, guys.